Hey, thanks for stopping by the channel. Here we look for and we present historical facts that contradict the current political and social narrative of victimization. Now, these facts can leave you feeling empowered and motivated to take advantage of the advantages our society has to offer. Now, if you get something new out of this, click the like button and hit the subscribe button to support the channel. Okay, here's today's topic. Why is racism still a thing? It's because there are two types of racism, and most of us are focused on the wrong one. Now, I'll tell you, the first type is real and objective racism. It is learned hatred that becomes tangible. It is in your face. It is solid. The manifestation of this type of racism can be physical violence, signs that say whites only, okay? The second type is assumed and subjective racism. It is suspected hatred that is intangible. You think it's behind your back. It is liquid. The manifestation of this type of racism is the assumption that every white person you don't know personally, or every institution that you don't personally run is racist. But it can't be proven, nor can it be disproved. For some people, the frequency in which the first type of racism occurs doesn't even matter. In fact, real objective racism is of little concern to them because real objective racism is rare and has real legal, social, and potentially dangerous consequences for the racist actors. For those same people, racism is like the Force in Star Wars. It is all around us all the time. And like the Jedi Knights in Star Wars, they use racism like the Force to manipulate the people and the world around them. Now, unfortunately, some of our politicians utilize the second type of racism as a political tool to motivate people through fear to support a particular agenda. As America's first Postmaster General Montgomery Blair told President Andrew Johnson after the Civil War, quote, "The key to politics is no longer slavery, it is race," end quote. That's from Eric Foner's book, Reconstruction, America's Unfinished Revolution, 1863-1871. I'll leave a link to that book below. Now, here are two examples of how racism is used as a political tool. Now, I'm paraphrasing from W.J. Cash's book, The Mind of the South. I'll leave that link below as well. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe, okay? Here we go. A narrative of white wives and daughters being violated by drunk black men was used to gather support for the 18th Amendment to the Constitution. And for all of us who don't know, that's the prohibition against the consumption of alcohol. Now, the truth was at the time, and still is, that white wives and daughters had a better chance of being struck by lightning than being violated by a hateful black man. Today, a narrative of black victimization by white cops is used to manipulate the public. There are more than 40 million African Americans in the United States. Out of that community, 209 were killed by cops in 2018. Out of the 209, do you know how many were killed by objectively racist cops? You probably don't. Today, African Americans have a better chance of being struck by lightning than being killed by a white cop. A white racist cop, or a cop in general. I'll leave the link to those statistics below. Now, am I saying that the actual rape of a white woman by a black man or a white cop shooting and killing a black boy is not significant enough to warrant concern? Absolutely no. But perception is important. In fact, some people say perception is everything. So how do we deal with the two types of racism? Well, when it comes to the real racist and real racism, we all need to attack it head on when it is really there. The best advice I've ever heard about how to deal with the second type of racism was articulated in former U.S. Secretary of State General Colin Powell's autobiography when he was asked how he dealt with racism. His answer was, "I just ignored it." And that seemed to work out pretty well for him. Now, Mr. Powell is not talking about ignoring a burning bush in your front yard. Don't let racism Jedis looking for votes for their financial gain manipulate you. You got to remember, you are more than just a person with an immutable skin color that needs protection. And for those in interracial relationships, so is your mate and so are your children. Maybe you're a student with loans, a homeowner with a mortgage, a worker whose skills will soon be obsolete. Maybe you're a retiree who can't retire because your savings account is gaining 1% interest. Maybe you're a parent whose child or children turn to drugs because they can't see a bright future. Maybe you live in a neighborhood full of those kids and those kids keep breaking into your house. You are living in an economy with an unemployment rate at an all-time low. But is that because everyone is working 2 jobs just to make ends meet? President Trump says this is the best economy ever. Really? These things are real. However, some politicians want to keep your focus off of these issues and keep your focus on the second type of racism for your votes and their financial gain. I think this is a good time to give Mr. Peter Schiff a shout out here. He did a great podcast on how the U.S. government actually created the student loan debt crisis. But in that podcast, and I'll leave a link to that below, he reminded me of something. Do you guys remember America once had an economy where a high school dropout earned $5 a day, and that person could support himself, a few children, have a house, and a stay-at-home wife? Now, even in the 70s, an architect named Mike Brady could afford 6 kids, a stay-at-home wife, and a live-in maid in Southern California. Now, the only people who can do that today are multimillionaires. But we live in the greatest economy ever. We all need to stay grounded in reality and focus on what is real. What is real is that all men are created equal, but all decisions and ideas are not equal. Be sure to demand politicians who represent your malleable ideas, decisions, and opportunities for success, and not just your immutable skin color. Beware of people of all races, like the great French actor Jussie Smollett, who wants to distract you from what you can control, what is real, and what is really important. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button. I'll leave links to the books below that I mentioned, and you can also pick up a copy of my book at the link I'll leave below as well. Hey, let me know what you think about what I said, and make sure to subscribe so you'll be made aware of the next episode. Peace.